Good morning and welcome to a special half hour focusing on addiction and recovery. Joining us this morning from Soba, Texas, Greg Hanley is the CEO of Soba, Texas Recovery Center. We've got Alex Dragici, the Director of Operations, and actor Daniel Baldwin. It's good to see you guys.
Hi, Sean.
Hey.
Y'all look very handsome this morning, I must say.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We're going to spend some time talking about heroin. And it's a drug that I guess we don't focus on all that much on this show because I guess I don't really know that much about it. But I know that it is a huge epidemic in this country and also in San Antonio. So let's start our conversation with that. What is the problem with heroin here in San Antonio? Is it a big deal?
It's a huge deal.
Really?
So out of probably our first 100 intakes that we did, 95 of them were 18 to 23-year-old heroin addicts. It is when I answered the phone doing intake calls, I could almost, I would know it as a parent calling and going, oh, so let me guess, she's 21 and on heroin, right? And they would go, well, how do you know that? Because they all are. And it's directly related to how accessible the pills are to get, the opiate-based pills.
Okay.
Kids are getting addicted to those, and then they run out of them or can't get them, and so it's kind of funny the things that are happening. They put more stringent laws on painkillers, making more heroin addicts because they're already addicted.
So explain this to me. So we've got kids who are getting into the medicine cabinet and maybe, getting addicted to pain pills.
Yeah.
The next step after that could possibly be heroin?
No,
Yeah.
it's not that it could be, it is.
Well, and it's not just kids. It is moms, people that go in for back surgery, for, in Texas, we get a lot of sports kids. So if you have a football player's son that gets hurt and they give him Oxycontin for his injury,
Vicodin.
keep a really good eye on it because I meet these guys that are young athletes that are addicted to heroin. I'm going, how'd you get on heroin? Oh, I already know, it's the same way. But when you ask if it is, how crazy it is that there's drugstores right now in 12 states, and it's probably going to be 50 states, that without a prescription, you can go in and get a Narcan shot. You can buy it so that you're ready when your kid overdoses at the house, then you can give them a Narcan and maybe save their life.
Man.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't work with the...
Fixing the problem?
Right.
Well, it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a term that they use called "it's in the water," which means red alert for everyone because it's going to directly or indirectly affect everyone. This problem is now in the water. It's in every high school, and if we don't do something to address this issue on a national level, it's going to be like you've never seen before.
Because there really is a trickle-down effect that affects all of us, because when you have folks that are addicted to drug, it leads to, the fact that we've got to pay for some of those people to then become sober. And we've got a stat here that really explains some of those things for you. Drug overdose is the leading cause of injury, death in the United States. 1 in 4 teens has misused or abused prescription drugs. And in the United States, prescription opiate abuse costs about $55 billion, which is a huge amount of money.
Think of what you just said. So it's the leading cause of death is drug overdose. Something's really, really out of whack. And here's another fact that I don't know if you know. This is the first generation of young people that the last generation, their mortality rate is worse than the last generation since World War II.
Wow.
And so every of that age group of 18 to 25-year-old kids, that's the first time that a generation's life expectancy and mortality is less than it was 20 years ago. And it's specifically not just because of drugs, and it's because of heroin. And people, so you go, it's kind of uncomfortable. We're in a morning show talking about it. It's because we need to talk about it. And finally the politicians are talking about it. They're coming up with some ideas. They're putting funding. Most of the ideas, unfortunately, that they're coming up with are politician ideas.
Yeah.
And
Not the frontline ideas.
And so hopefully some people get involved too that really know how to treat this.
And we're going to talk about that, some of these ideas that are coming up in our next block. But real quick, since you mentioned it, that a lot of your first couple of intakes were young people, 23, 24 years old, addicted to heroin. What do I need to look out for? What are some signs that someone may be using heroin?
Well, first of all, it is, don't consider that they're not.
Okay.
So many parents think, and I always say this, if you think something's going on, something's going on.
Yeah.
Find out what it is. Too many times I had parents that came in or people that came in and go, you know, I think my kid is smoking too much pot or might be doing some, and he's been on heroin for 2 years. And it is, and keep an eye around for things. Kids really don't have a big use for aluminum foil and lighters. Number one, if you're seeing aluminum foil and lighters around the house,
okay,
or in the car or anywhere, and your kid is not in a cooking class,
red flag.
He's using heroin.
Yeah.
Look at their eyes. Look at the way they sweat. Look and see if they're fidgety. But it's, especially with moms or wives, it's intuition. Trust your intuition. If something is going on, you can feel it. Find out what it is. Get a drug test and find out.
Now that you know how big this problem is and the fact that this is a problem here in San Antonio, we're going to talk about what people are doing about it. We've got more with Soba, Texas when we come back. Welcome back. We are talking with our friends from Soba, Texas this morning. Greg Hanley is the CEO of the Soba Recovery Center here in the San Antonio Hill Country. Alex Draghici is the Director of Operations, and actor Daniel Baldwin. We kicked off things, started talking about heroin, but we were talking during the break, and I want to make this real clear because I think as I'm a parent, you know, and I want other parents to know what to look for. And we were talking about the fact that opiates could lead to heroin use. And you brought up something that I think is interesting. If someone in your family has an injury and they're prescribed pills, I got to keep a real close eye on those pills.
For sure.
What am I looking for? What kind of pills?
Any opiate. You know, when you make the comment about, you know, oh, so they can take these pills and then they're going to go to heroin. These pills are heroin.
Okay.
These are opiates.
Yeah, or
classification-wise.
Okay.
So if people don't know what opiates, pills, it's painkillers, mostly. The ones that they're going to go to are going to be anti-anxiety or painkillers.
Okay.
So, and these can be, dentist will give you painkillers. It doesn't have to be a huge car accident. It can be a root canal, and a dentist goes to, here's some painkillers.
Okay.
And kids know what they are. They know what's happening. And also, if you see your doctor or dentist prescribing something like that to your kid. My 14-year-old daughter, they wanted to give her Vicodin when she had broke her toe. And I was thinking, you know, it's a little early in the game. Let's try Motrin, ibuprofen. Let's try something that's not possibly going to give me a 15-year-old heroin addict.
Okay.
But it is, you know, where they're calling it an epidemic. But they're treating the epidemic, they can fix this properly.
But they may not be fixing it the right way, and that's going to lead us into this conversation. There is a mayor in Ithaca, New York, who is trying to make that area have one of the first supervised injection facilities in the United States. And by supervised injection facility, this means a place where heroin addicts can go and shoot up on government property, is basically. Now, he has a reason as to why he wants to do that, and here's what he had to say about that.
I woke up this morning confident in this plan. I believe it. I believe in it because I watched the 350 people work to write it. I believe in it because I've read the research behind each and every recommendation. I believe in it because it is based in science and not in fear.
So basically he's saying he has a personal experience with heroin addiction. His dad was addicted, and he thinks that by going this route, it would make things better. What do you think?
Well, there's an outbreak of arson going on in Columbia County. So we've decided to let them go to some abandoned buildings and give them gasoline cans and lighters, because we think we can control the problem. It's the most ludicrous, idiotic idea I've ever heard in my life.
Well, you know, but it shows. It shows how bad it's going on.
They're coming up with anything they can.
When you have a politician that's going, we're so under siege, and it's kind of like this. In that same area, you can't get into treatment. The treatment centers are slam packed. You have a 90-day waiting period to get in, or 60 days, or whatever the deal is, or they're going into the short-term cheap treatment and coming back out. And kids are dying all around the city, and the mayor is his big solution, or final solution, is going, well, at least let's give them a shot. If they're going to be shooting it up, let's have a nurse there to give them Narcan and get them and save their life.
At least he's trying something. We can't be upset that it's a ludicrous idea, but at least there's somebody trying to do something.
It's so how much that they don't know what to do. I've had governors from state Massachusetts wanted to give me an island. Pennsylvania or New Jersey wanted to give me an old military base and they go, we don't know what to do. And when I went over and talked to people in Iowa, they go, and it's the same thing as, say, at the hospitals. I go, should I come and open a treatment center here? And they said, yeah, because they they overdose and come in. They go to jail. They let them out of jail. They overdose and they go, we don't know what to do. Well, we know what to do.
What do? We need to get them into rehab and find a place and open more rehabs?
Yes, it is. People all the time are going, you should come here. We could use a rehab. You could use a rehab anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere, anywhere. There's not anybody, any state, any city that doesn't need, but it needs to be long-term rehab. It needs to be a place that people can get into easily. It needs to be places that people can stay long enough to get away from this drug, because the outcomes for people who don't get that quality and that length of time in treatment are imminent doom.
Well, that's something that you guys specialize in at SOBA Texas, which is long-term rehab. Rehab that is more than 30 days and a recovery process that is ongoing. So keep it right here. We've got more with SOBA Texas when we come back.
Crap to get this. By the way, when your heart's about to explode.
Welcome back. We're chatting with our friends from SOBA Texas this morning about something that they really are all very passionate about, which is heroin addiction. And there's a lot of things that have been going on in the news. People trying to fix this epidemic, but maybe they're not going about it in the right way. And one of the things that we haven't talked about yet is the fact that drugstore, CVS, is now selling Narcan, which is an overdose drug, in 12 states. And I was saying, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And what were you saying, Daniel? Because it's a different way of treating the problem, but it opens up a new can of worms.
You're co-signing the behavior of something that is, A, illegal.
Yeah.
It's illegal to shoot heroin and use heroin. It's a narcotic. So you're saying it's okay to do that. Here's a better scenario. So does that mean the city of Ithaca is going to stock up on Narcan and give it out in the rooms they're going to let you shoot dope in?
Right.
When's it going to end?
Actually, the answer is yes.
Yes.
But it is so. But at CVS, that's how bad it has gotten. I can't go and get a heavy nasal spray without having a prescription.
Yeah.
But I can get an injectable, and it's because they don't know what to do. So let everybody have some Narcan at home, because it's likely your kid is going to be a heroin addict and going to overdose at your house, and you need to be able to
go
whip
to
out a
CVS,
needle and pop it in them and save their life, because you don't have time to wait for the ambulance anymore. And maybe if you have multiple kids, maybe you should have multiple Narcans.
You should just have some Narcan in the house.
Don't make it hard to get. Don't make it hard to get the Suboxone stuff too. The government, they're having the big New Deal was put $1.8 billion into the drug treatment and everything. And if you take a look at the fine print, it has to do with providing medications that are opiate, that
I just see
replace the opiates.
So we're changing drug dealers from now you're going to go from heroin to whatever it is going to be, Vivitrol or Suboxone or whatever it is. You're going to get addicted to that too.
Yeah.
And
who's making money? All of these companies that are putting out these little Band-Aids.
Well, so the same ones that get you addicted are the same ones that sell the cure.
Yeah.
Or the, it's not even a cure. The other thing that is going to, that you're also going to get addicted to, isn't there something wrong with that?
Yes.
But understand something too that I know I've learned from Greg and Alex. So play the tape all the way out. You're on heroin, so you go on Suboxone. Then you're on the Suboxone. The minute you can't get, because you know every drug addict only takes a prescription per the writing on the bottle. I only take one every. Of course, you're going to start abusing the Suboxone. Yeah. They're hooked on the Suboxone, and as soon as they can't get the Suboxone, they go right back to heroin.
Absolutely.
If you're going to do that, make Suboxone free.
It is a cycle.
Make it free. Let them get it anywhere. Have as much as you want. Never run out of it. And everybody can be on Suboxone who's on heroin now. And then maybe they're not going to be robbing your, your purse.
Man, all I see is this, and someone needs to be able to put a chink in that and fix it the right way. And I think a lot of that comes with education and knowing what's going on, knowing what people are into. And I want to bring in a viewer question this morning because this kind of feeds into all of this. This is from a viewer that wants to know, how do you protect yourself against becoming addicted to pain medications? I worry about my high school age son who has had sports injuries. So if someone's in that situation, what do they do? Say,
suck it
up and do. Here's some ibuprofen.
I'll tell you what Greg told me. I've had 2 surgeries on my back. I have never had a pill problem before in my life. Why would I want to find out, was his word. Why would you want to find out? Take the prescription, give it to your wife, or have it supervised and make sure when it hurts, you get to take one every 6 hours until your back is better, whatever, that kind of thing. Now, I didn't choose to go that route, but at the same time, as an addict, I know how I am. Yeah. I have an addictive personality. Have someone and ask them for the help. If there is a reason why you take a pain medication, you're in pain.
As needed.
As needed, as prescribed,
as wanted.
Yeah.
And it's the thing is you just really monitor it closely and try to use things that are not going to be addictive and
you can ask your doctor, hey, that's, like you mentioned with your daughter, that's not acceptable. Is there something else that you can give me?
Sure, non-narcotic.
Yeah, okay. Good information there, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about Soba, Texas, in the Hill Country. It's a recovery center. We've got the details on how you can get in or someone you loved. That's coming up next. Welcome back. We've been talking about addiction and recovery with our friends from Soba, Texas, and I think very interesting information, and it scared me a little bit, which I think is good because I think that's why we're here, is to let people know what's out there and then give us the tools to fight it, basically. I want to talk a little bit about getting into Soba, Texas. If there are people at home who need help, what do they do, Alex?
It starts with the phone call. They call or they reach out on the website, and somebody will get a hold of them, or if you call directly, you'll speak directly to a specialist about it.
There's a ton of great information on the website as well. If you need sort of like a helping hand through this, everything you need to know is on the Soba, Texas website. There's also another resource for you. It's called Recovery Today. It's a magazine that Greg puts out, and there's a lot of great information inside that magazine. We've got details on how you can find out more about that online as well. All right, final thoughts on heroin. We spent the last 30 minutes talking about what we are now calling an epidemic in this country, and it's not the people that you would imagine that are addicted to heroin. It's everyone. It could be my kid, your kid.
It is an epidemic, and you see politicians and people trying to do something in the Narcan and the CVS and, places you can go do it yourself. The problem with it is it's not something you outgrow. That's why you hear about heroin addicts who have been on it for 20 years.
Yeah.
You don't outgrow this. These kids that are on it, it's not like a little phase like marijuana and you outgrow it and then you go on to college and get a career, get married. You don't outgrow heroin. So these little Band-Aids these little small temporary fixes
Yeah.
are not fixing the problem.
Daniel, final thoughts?
In the future, if we do not do something in this country on a national level about the heroin epidemic, we will be identified, this generation, as the heroin generation. I promise you. We will be known years from now, when it decimates these children, as the heroin generation.
Greg?
If you think something's going on, find out what is happening.
Okay.
Find out what's going on. People, don't be surprised if the H word is in your house.
Yeah, speak up.
All right, great information, guys. If you have questions, contact our friends at SOBA Texas. They're right here in the Hill Country. SOBATexas.com for resources. If you need the phone number, it is 866-547-6451. You can also find them on Facebook, SOBA Texas, and Twitter, SOBA Living.